To find a solution, designers turn their attention from the gun to the cartridges when Megastructures returns. Now, back to Megastructures. In 1955, the U.S. Army demanded a new weapon, a standard issue for troops in the field. Like a submachine gun, it had to be lightweight and capable of fully automatic fire. But like a rifle, it would also have to hit and penetrate a helmet at 500 yards away. The new hybrid weapon would be called the assault rifle. An early contender was the M14, effectively a World War II rifle, modified for full automatic fire. Unlike the Tommy gun, it used high-power rifle ammunition, heavy 7.62 millimeter shells packed with powder. Conventional wisdom held that this was the best way to guarantee accuracy at nearly 500 yards. Ken Elmore is an instructor for Colt Defense, an authority on assault rifle technology. Can the M14 pass the helmet test, penetrating a helmet in full automatic?
The weapon's heavy cartridge makes it move all over the place. No matter how hard you fight it, it just seems to get worse. Very rapidly out of control. Within 3 or 4 shots, you're strafing the air.
Heavy cartridge means heavy recoil.
You're only carrying around 150 rounds a man. On full auto fire, the gun is cycling at around 750 rounds per minute. The ammo's gone almost instantly, as fast as you can change the mags, with almost no hits.
With the failure of the M14, it was time for a new designer to take a seat at the drawing board. In the mid-1950s, weapons manufacturer Armalite appointed a brilliant chief engineer named Eugene Stoner. Stoner was convinced that for long-range automatic fire, both gun and cartridges would have to be completely transformed. The M14 has a bend in the stock to keep the sights at eye level. But while firing, the recoil makes the whole gun rotate around this point, causing the muzzle to rise. In his new design, Stoner straightened things out and placed the stock in line with the barrel. Now the recoil goes directly back along the line of sight and the gun stays on target. Stoner then raised the sights to bring them back to eye level. The result was the distinctive profile of one of the 20th century's iconic weapons. The M16 assault rifle. It had a truly space-age look and feel. Stoner used aluminum alloy for many vital components. The plastic handguards and buttstock gave it the nickname the Black Rifle. But the most controversial innovation was not in the rifle, it was in the cartridges. Stoner threw away the heavy 7.62 millimeter ammunition of the M14 and replaced it with a slimline cartridge of just 5.56 millimeters. The weight savings meant troops could carry twice as many fully loaded magazines into battle. But it seemed to a skeptical army that the tiny M16 cartridge was more suited to killing mice than men. How would the weapon perform in field trials? There's a lot less kick from the small cartridge. The weapon's straight profile means the recoil goes directly backwards into Ken Elmore's shoulder.
With the light cartridges, low recoil, very maneuverable. easy to support in the field.
It's far easier to keep the M16 locked on the target, even in automatic. And the cartridges pierce the helmet, passing the test, although they punch much smaller holes than the M14. The M16 seemed to be the weapon of the Army's dreams. And by 1965, it was put to the test in Vietnam. At first, soldiers were not convinced that the M16 would be effective in combat. Some didn't believe the slender cartridge could put a man down and keep him down. But soon, the black rifle was spreading terror through the enemy ranks. The new cartridge was punching above its weight.
They basically go down because of the massive trauma it's caused inside. They just shut down, and they fall almost like somebody let go of a large sack of potatoes.
The M16 bullet is exceptionally fast, over half a mile per second. When it strikes human tissue, the lightweight nose slows down, while the heavier base maintains momentum. The bullet tumbles end over end, creating a huge bending force which it cannot withstand.
The bullet virtually explodes as it gets sideways. The whole center comes out of it. Very much like the Titanic, we often say. When that boat got out of the water, when the bow went under and the stern came out of the water, the boat snapped in the center. The same exact thing happens with a modern M16 cartridge. It's fully lethal. It leaves devastating wounds, and I don't know anybody walking around who's been hit by one.
As a U.S. Army combat veteran, Ken Elmore would trust the M16 with his life.
The M16 is by far my favorite rifle. I've carried it all over the world. I know the rifle front and back. I know every feel about it, every sound it makes. I would not trade that weapon for any other weapon around, literally.
In training, the U.S. Marines enter the final stages of their live-fire attack of a fortified trench. Their M16s maintain rapid fire with pinpoint accuracy to pick off individual targets. Their firepower keeps the initiative, never allowing the enemy to respond. In the First World War, a trench attack was a slow walk into a hail of defensive machine gun fire. But today, the attackers have highly mobile machine guns of their own. The enemy is destroyed, and the Marines occupy the position. They set their sights on the next trench, but their firepower is not yet exhausted. If need be, the enemy can be attacked from above by a colossal machine gun that was invented before the first aircraft. Now, the conclusion of megastructures on the National Geographic Channel. Davis-Monthan Air Force Base near Tucson, Arizona. This is the home of the A-10 Tank Buster aircraft, also known as the Warthog. It's armed with one of the most terrifying weapons in modern warfare, the GAU-8 Avenger. Major Mike Young is an A-10 pilot and combat veteran of the war in Afghanistan. The GAU-8 dominates his aircraft. He's not so much flying a plane as flying a machine gun.
It starts about right here and continues up to the muzzle at the front of the aircraft. Looking at the aircraft, it's intimidating, I think. You know, kind of the first thing when you see is you got the gun sticking out of the front here. And when you really think about how big the gun is in the airplane, it's a good quarter size, a third of the airplane.
With magazine and drive mechanism, the GAU-8 weighs 1.8 metric tons. 21-foot barrel makes this gun accurate at over 4 miles. The entire length has internal rifling grooves to impart a spin on the bullets, stabilizing them in flight. The gun is so massive that the nose wheel of the A-10 has to be mounted offline to make room on the central axis of the aircraft. A full load of ammunition is around 1,200 rounds, but it's so heavy, a motorized loader has to be employed by a ground crew. This weapon devours ammunition, but pilots are careful to make their rounds count.
And we're never going to empty the gun. We're never going to, shoot for 10 seconds straight to get rid of all the bullets. We're usually shooting for around, 2-second bursts on the gun to get us around a little over 100 rounds of bullets per squeeze.
Even a short burst of the GAU-8 is lethal for anyone or anything. A single round of 30mm ammunition is 11.5 inches long, weighing 1.5 pounds. And the GAU-8 can fire 4,200 rounds per minute. The secret is multiple barrels. The GAU-8 owes its origins to the 19th century machine gun that started it all. It's a descendant of the Gatling gun. In 1893, Gatling himself had massively upped the firepower of his invention. The human operator had been a source of jamming when the gunner overcranked the handle in the heat of battle. Gatling's solution was to drive the barrels externally with an electric motor. He achieved a firing rate of 3,000 rounds per minute. But the motorized Gatling gun was heavy and cumbersome and never found favor until the age of jet warfare. The GAU-8 Avenger is the Gatling gun reborn. Its motor is powered directly from the aircraft hydraulics. Friendly fire incidents are a very real danger, so constant training missions are essential. At the firing range, flight control prepares for the attack. The targets are hanging parachute silk and a small collection of bullet-riddled trucks. The GAU-8 must be activated before this final firing line just 200 yards from its target. The pilot is expected to put 80% of his shots within a 30-foot circle. The target zones are embedded with microphones to detect vibrations and precisely locate the bullet hits. A technician can then provide instant feedback on the spread and accuracy of each burst of fire.
This will be low angle strafe, right spare target.
To aim the weapon, the pilot aligns the entire aircraft using the heads-up display, or HUD. It's a visceral experience.
Seeing the HUD shake, seeing the smoke, feeling the vibrations of the airplane, seeing the vibrations in the HUD. I mean, it kind of touches all your senses. You can smell the gunpowder. When you come home, I mean, your wife can tell you that she was able to tell that you shot the gun today because you smell like gunpowder.
In a battle situation, the effect on the enemy is devastating. Even one armor-piercing bullet on target can destroy a battle tank. But enemy troops refer to the GAU-8 as the silent gun. The victims of its supersonic ammunition never hear it coming.
If I was the enemy on the ground and I knew that A-10s were getting ready to roll in and attack me, it'd probably be pretty scary. What I'd probably hear is a little late. Because it is a sonic boom, it is a time delay associated with it. So bullets are probably going to hit me or hit close to me, and then I'm going to hear the gun firing later. I'm going to be dead and I'm not going to hear anything.
If necessary, the GAU-8 machine gun could fire all 1,200 of its rounds in just 17 seconds. This is Gatling's 19th century deadly dream come true. A single rapid-fire weapon doing the work of a battlefield regiment of troops. The story of the machine gun has come full circle.